And Birmingham Southern College proved that you can get bioinfiltration in clay soils on a hillside. And that's what we're dealing with here, clay soils on a hillside. And so they have a series of bioswales that take the runoff from their new Methodist Center and parking area, and they're hoping to do more of this as they develop and redevelop the campus over the years. It's really a beautiful feature, and they use it for environmental education of the students as well. Permeable and porous paving is a new thing here in our area. You'll hear more about that from Jess. And rainwater harvesting and reuse. This can be done on all sorts of scales. There's a lot of things that are being done like this that are small-scale cisterns. This can be done commercially, residentially, but also it's being done industrially. Jenkins Brick and Leeds, McWayne Pipe, they gather their stormwater runoff and they use it to make brick and pipe, and they save a lot of money not having to use potable drinking water to do that. Brassfield and Gorey, right in the middle of the city, gathers their roof runoff, puts it in some big pipes under the ground in between the building and the street, and they use that to water their landscaping. So that's another great local project. All these projects we showed you are projects that we've given awards to because we promote projects that do a good job with this. Now quickly I'm going to go over environmental site design or green infrastructure, which goes hand in hand with low impact development. This is more looking at larger scale of how you design the site. So this is what needs to be done in land use planning and site design. And the key thing is to save as much natural green forest as possible on a site because it does a lot of work for us for free, and it keeps our water clean and infiltrates it. And that can be done, for instance, through cluster development. I really want all our communities to think differently about density. Density is scary to our communities. They think it equates with lower property values, not as good quality of life, but in reality, if density is handled right, if you take a conventional development like this, where you've spread those lots out and the grading out over the entire property, and instead allow those to be clustered, this is the same number of lots, it's shorter infrastructure, so it's less expensive to build, and you've got these great green areas along streams that you've preserved so that that naturally handles the stormwater. It does stormwater management for this community and this development for free. And actually it could well be that this is a more profitable development. There'll be a premium for these lots because people pay more for lots adjacent to green space. That means probably higher property values and property taxes for the community, lower infrastructure costs. And yesterday, one of the great presentations we had in depth was all the cost savings from low impact development. Also, environmental site design and green infrastructure means being less impactful with the way we build things. Instead of building a road like this is a 2-lane road for a new development, huge amount of grading, extremely expensive to put this road in, a lot of stormwater runoff. You can imagine the sediment control problems that were associated with this, and in fact there were a lot of violations. Think about this as an older road. This is Cherokee Road in Mountain Brook. It was put in, and a lot of your communities, your road standards probably would not allow this. This road, Mountain Brook police say, no more accidents than any other road, no curb and gutter for most of it. The trees were allowed to remain. It was fit right with the landscape, with the topography. Not much grading happened with it. Very little stormwater runoff during construction or after. And plus it conveys a tremendous amount of property value to the surrounding properties, which means higher property taxes. Bass Pro just put in something similar with their roads within their commercial development, where they minimize the tree cuts and the grading in order to establish these roads, and they don't have curb and gutter, and we sure do appreciate that. They also, and Finley, if I'm stealing your thunder, I'll whip past this, when they developed the parking lot, they tiered it and saved a half a hot hillside of trees and a tremendous amount on their grading costs. Trussville High School we saw as our field trip yesterday, and probably of all the sites in the region, this has got the most low-impact development features covering much of the site, and if you didn't get a chance to see it yesterday, I highly recommend that you just go out there and take a look. I'm going to just show you 2 features of it. That's the river setback zone. Those trees come, they preserve the forest within 15 feet of the walls of the building. And by doing so, they were able to build on both sides of the Cahaba and still have very minimal impact on the river and take advantage of this gorgeous location. And this is one of the great things, my favorite parking lot in the region, the Woodland parking. This is a new parking lot there. Much lower cost because there's very little grading necessary to do it. They fit it into the trees, no curb and gutter, so no underground piping, none of all that concrete cost. And the stormwater just rolls off and soaks into the parking, or into the forest. Well, as we got a long presentation on yesterday, low-impact development studies have shown both locally, comparative studies locally on projects, and national studies that have looked at projects and looked at if this had been designed with conventional stormwater, with large detention ponds, with a lot of curb and gutter, with a lot of underground piping, it would have been more expensive than sites developed with low-impact development stormwater principles. And so we want you to keep that in mind. A lot of times people expect if I'm building an environmentally sensitive development, it's going to cost me more. But in this case, frequently, particularly in new development, it actually costs less and adds to profits. The Cahaba River Society would really like to serve as a resource to your communities to bring you information, to help link you to resources, and to help you explore how to implement low-impact development in a cost-effective way in your community or with your firms if you're in development. We work collaboratively on particular projects, like Hewitt Trussville High School Bass Pro, where we're engaged early on to just talk through all the possibilities and explore what will work and not work. We're working right now with Daniel Corporation and U.S. Steel to hope that the big Grand River development will be built with these principles. And we've worked with other local governments like Vestavia Hills on patchwork farms. So we really like a chance to work with you. And then also, our full presentation incorporates a lot of what you're going to hear from other speakers and kind of wraps up the whole message on low-impact development. And we know that it's hard to get everybody to a day like this, but if you would like us to come to your community, meet with your planning commission, your city council, your mayor, your city engineer, your city attorney, whoever is needed to get on board with this so that you can achieve the changes you need to implement your stormwater permit requirements, we would love to come and do that. We'll do it on your schedule, whether it's a lunch and learn, early evening, before or after a planning commission or city council meeting, we're happy to do that. So please do call on us. We're collaborating for quality growth in your communities, and we'd love to help you with that. And are there any questions?